Welcome back to the I Just Reddit channel. We have 2 stories for you today. As always, spelling and grammar mistakes courtesy of Reddit. Lol. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps this channel grow. Thank you. This story is titled, I, 29 female, was diagnosed with epilepsy last spring. I found out this morning that my husband started cheating on me right afterwards with multiple different women. We have 2 young kids. I'm so broken. This is the last possible thing I thought I had to worry about. I started having seizures about a year ago, and after a couple months I was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. Last summer was what I thought would be the worst time in my life. I was miserably ill from the seizures themselves and the side effects of my new medications. I had to quit my job because I couldn't drive and was too ill to work. There was a period of time that I couldn't even care for my own children without someone else there because it was too unsafe. I broke my foot during one seizure, and also had to heal from that. My husband started at a new job site soon afterwards because it had more available overtime and we needed the money. He made a new friend at work that he seemed to really click with. My husband and I have never been big drinkers, but he would occasionally socially drink before COVID. The new job site was in a large downtown city close to lots of bars. An occasional beer with lunch with his new friend turned into daily. After about a month or so, he started immediately cracking open a beer when he would get home from work. That turned into multiple beers after work until he would pass out on the couch before 9 p.m. We went from not even keeping alcohol in the house, to him stocking up on cases of beer constantly. I told him I was worried about how much he was drinking and that it was really unlike him. He told me that he was just stressed from my medical stuff, the kids, and working a lot. I thought we told each other everything. He's been my husband and my best friend. Midsummer I started finding hidden empty pints in the garage. He was distant with both me and the kids. I asked him if he would go to couples counseling with me, and he did. We talked about how scary it was for him to watch me have seizures, and how he thought I was going to die. We talked about how miserable and useless I felt being unable to work and that I felt like a terrible mom for needing so much extra help with the kids. We talked about his drinking, and he admitted that it became a problem so quickly that it really scared him. He apologized for hiding it from me and agreed that he needed to seriously cut back or stop. He stopped drinking entirely, and I was so proud of him. He admitted to feeling depressed, and he went to his doctor to start medication, and again I was so proud of him. We continued therapy together, but things still felt off. Our sex life was basically non-existent for the summer because I was so sick, and he was working so much. I felt us growing apart and I was so scared and confused. I blamed myself for ruining our life we had with my illness. I blamed myself for him working himself to death and having to do so much extra work around the house. During the fall, he started alternating between praising the ground I walked on and acting bitter and resentful towards me. He stopped wanting to go to counseling together but blamed it on the money. I was physically feeling much better at this point and was pulling my weight with the children and the house again. We started having sex again, but it felt different. The intimacy wasn't there, and it felt like he just wanted to get off instead of connecting with me. I used to think we could make it through anything. This isn't the only stressful time life had thrown at us, but we always made it through even stronger. He used to gush about how we would be the ones to make it. In December, a close family member of his died. She was a young newlywed. We were both devastated, but grieving together brought us closer together again. We had a new appreciation for each other and talked a lot about how we couldn't imagine losing one another. Since then, things had been good. I have been seizure-free for 4 months. We were having intimate sex again and making more time for just the 2 of us. He has been more active with the kids and talking more openly with me about his feelings. Last night, our toddler daughter fell asleep in bed with him, so I slept in a different room. I woke up early this morning to her crawling in bed with me with my husband's phone. He had turned on a show for her to watch and fell back asleep. I was cuddling her half asleep when she asked for help because she had closed out of the app. She had opened a bunch of tabs and was scrolling through his texts. She had gone back far enough that I could see a thread from his cousin who died, which is what caught my eye. I was about to go back to Netflix for my daughter when I saw a woman's name I didn't recognize, and the preview text said something along the lines of, "I can come over again after work tomorrow." I have never gone through his phone before, but something came over me and I couldn't help myself. I never had a reason to not trust him and normally respect phone privacy. I opened the thread and there were nudes of both my husband and a woman I don't know. They talked about fricking each other and I learned that he had been going over to her house after work last summer. He lied and told me he had been working late. I never questioned him and never felt even remotely suspicious. I looked at more texts and found the same kind of stuff from 4 different women last summer. Nudes, them talking about fricking again, them making plans after work. I couldn't even believe it and went completely numb. While I was at home, ill and caring for our children, with the help of his mother, he was fricking other women on his way home. I praised him for working so hard and staying late to make more money, but in reality, he was cheating on me. The most recent one was from September 2020. There were nudes that he had taken in our bathroom, presumably with me and the kids home. I woke him up in tears and he asked what was wrong, but then saw my phone in his hand and his face went pale. I was sobbing and couldn't even get words out. He jumped straight to asking me why I went through his phone and had the audacity to act angry about it. I told him how it happened, and he started spewing lies at me. He told me he only sent pictures and never had sex. I told him I knew that was a lie. He jumped to it being a one-time mistake. I told him I knew that was a lie. Then he blamed it on the drinking and said that he stopped seeing any of them after he stopped. I told him he was either lying about that, or lying about when he stopped drinking. He just looked at me and said a half-assed sorry. I went back to the kids and he stayed in bed all day. I tried to play it cool so that the kids wouldn't see me upset. I got them to bed and broke down in the spare bedroom. He came in and I couldn't even look at him. All he said was, "I want to fix this." I told him I didn't even know who he was anymore and that I can't trust anything he says. I asked how he could possibly do this to me, and he said nothing. I told him that of all people, I never expected him to hurt me this much. I told him I blindly trusted him, and he made me look like a fool. All he said was, "Sorry," and went back to our room. I can't even believe this is happening. He was my rock and my best friend. I thought we were going to be married forever. I can't stay with him after this. I almost wish I could, because the last thing I want is to get a divorce and put the kids through this, but I can't. I feel sick and just keep seeing the pictures and texts in my head. I don't know who he is anymore. I don't know what to do. I can't believe this is actually happening. Comment 1. He is definitely not your forever guy. Your forever guy doesn't kick you and run away when you're at your worst. When you were suffering your worst, he was finding emotional intimacy in others. That's the part that I don't foresee you ever overcoming. Instead of being strong and giving support, he ran away like a scared little boy and left you to be in pain and recover alone. That's double trauma. Comment 2. I'm so sorry this is happening. You don't deserve any of it. Please get tested for STDs immediately, and insist he do the same. Insist he be honest with your physician and about his conduct, because they will need that information to make future testing and monitoring decisions. Also, please at least consult with a lawyer. You may decide to stay together, but you need to protect yourself now, both for yourself and for your kids. Comment 3. I'm sorry for your pain. I can definitely relate to the 1 second everything is great to the next second I can't even give it words that explain the pain. A knockout blow would be better, because you would be out. This hurts. This Redditor fam will be here for you, but with this happening on top of everything else you are dealing with, I recommend professional help if you can pull it off. Hang in there, focus on you and your daughter. I hope you find peace. This story is titled, Found Out from New Wife the Depth of Ex-Wife's Infidelity. Here just to vent, I have no way of getting closer from this due to my ex-wife being dead. My ex and I were high school sweethearts and married 2 years after high school. She was truly my first love. I joined the Navy after high school, and I asked, let's call her Lisa, to marry me. I left for boot camp, a school and sub-school, job training for civilians. I would see her whenever I could. She would come out to see me, and it always felt like I was the most important person in the world to her. She had a way of making me feel like I was loved and desired, and I would return the favor in every way I could. For some context, my ex-wife was what the internet would call a BBW, which is my kind of woman. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have married her. Although I loved every inch of her body, she didn't. I'm not making excuses for her bad behavior, I've just had a few years to reflect on what went wrong. She had very low self-esteem, and what I would later find out, any interest from any another man would help boost that. Some of you know just how that works. Her personality was what really grabbed me. She had a smile that would light up a room and a laugh that I found intoxicating. Without dragging this out, I was head over heels for this woman. Being in the Navy, I was very aware that the life of Navy wife was hard. You take a woman away from her family and friends, drop them in a town with no one, then you leave for months on end. I attributed the problems we had and the distance that grew between us to that. I decided early on in my enlistment that I would need to get out after just one tour. My enlistment was killing my marriage, even though I exceeded expectations under my command. In which my XO and CO pleaded with me to re-enlist. She just had a hold on me, and I wanted to make her as happy as she made me. I had a thought in the back of my mind that she may have been unfaithful to me while she was back home and I on the other side of the country. But me being young, dumb and in love didn't see the clear signs that she was cheating on me. So, I get out of the Navy and come home. I feel so confident that all those thoughts I had and behaviors that were so unlike her would go away and we would be us again. I couldn't have been farther from the truth. She was so cold to me, leaving the room when her phone would ring, getting off work at 4 p.m. about not getting home till 10 p.m. on a nightly basis. I called during these times and no answer. Weekends with the girls where I knew all the girls but was never invited, even though some of their significant others were supposed to be there. Our sex life went from anytime anywhere to nothing. At first, I attributed this to her body image issues, which she gaslighted me into believing was the cause. I allowed this to continue for 3 months, when I called her on her BS. She got angry at me for thinking like that and told me I had been acting very difficult to her friends and to the life she had built for herself while I was gone. She twisted the whole thing around on me like I was crazy, but in my core, I just knew it had to be something else. I followed my gut this time and left her. We divorced and I moved on with my life. Not willing to allow myself to fall in love like that again, where I couldn't tell up from down, I went on a sexual binder. I would smash 2 or 3 women a week before Tinder and social media. Just meeting women and giving them the D, the old-fashioned way. I had time to make up for because I had been faithful to Lisa our entire relationship. Fast forward 4 years, Lisa died in a car crash, and during the funeral and repast I ran into an old classmate of ours, we'll call her Alice. Lisa had remarried and I had a kid, so our relationship was as over as can be. Alice had a crush on me back in high school and I noticed them yams back then. Neither one of us acted on this attraction due to my relationship with Lisa. A month goes by and I inbox Alice. I couldn't get her out of my mind, so I took my shot. Once I finally got her on the phone, things were weird. I could tell she was into me, but I could tell she was holding back. Come to find out, Alice was the roommate to Lisa's godsister during our marriage. After a few conversations and a couple of dates, she opened up to me. She only learned that me and Lisa were married through her obituary. She told me that she had no idea we got married because every time she would see Lisa, she was with our different guy. She even told me that she had walked in on Lisa and a few of these guys having sex. She didn't think anything of it because they were some of the only friends in their circle that had their own place. Everyone else still lived at home and their apartment became somewhat of a flophouse, which is why she felt the need to move out as soon as she could. But due to her not having a good job or even good prospects, lasted longer than she would have liked. Alice asked me if that was the reason for our divorce, and out of sheer embarrassment, I told her yes. I had no idea about how many guys or how long or how deep her infidelity went. She would tell her friends she was going on a cruise or a vacation out of town, and that would be the times she would come see me in whatever duty station I was at. She would return with gifts that I gave her, money, and even a couple of cars I had bought her. Alice thought she had a sugar daddy, which was my dumbass. She never questioned it, she just chalked it up to them being young and just enjoying life as independent women. She herself had been dating an older man and felt it wasn't her place to judge. I had to keep up the ruse of me knowing and being over it. But I couldn't help but allow the conversations about Lisa to continue to the point where I could piece together some of the doubts that I had about Lisa in our relationship that I wish I didn't know. Like how she had been on the phone with me while being in a four-way, the roommate, her boyfriend, and a guy Lisa brought by. It was like everything I thought didn't sound right or that didn't make sense at the time was brought to light in the worst-case scenario. She had been cheating on me since we left high school and possibly before, but my heart can't take probing deeper, because I believe I would just uncover more betrayal. I don't want to soil her name due to her untimely demise, but damn. What do I say? Who do I speak to? How do I deal with this? I have learned more due to my wife's relationship with Lisa's godsister and her time as her roommate. They speak about her as being a free spirit and how she worked her low self-esteem and body image issues into a plus, somewhat like a legend. I hear these stories and all I feel is rage, hurt, regret and self-loathing, but I got to play it cool. It's been too long for me to come clean to my wife, as I don't want her to feel like I still have feelings for my ex-wife. Which it would definitely look like, because a lot of these stories are new to me and the feelings are fresh. Because it's often me hearing these things for the first time and me being blessed or cursed with a good memory. Allows me to match those stories up with situations I thought didn't sound right on my end, but I chose to ignore. So here I am on Reddit venting to internet strangers, trying to get this off my chest so I can move on with my life. So, with that being said, frick you Lisa, I loved you with everything I had and you played me, and to this day has me looking like a fool, so I hope you burn in hell. Comment 1. Let that anger out, man. It's beyond needed. I'm so sorry you've had to find out this way and things were the way they were. I think the first thing you need to do is get yourself booked into therapy. I know the prospect can be daunting and even potentially silly sounding, but these people have tools and ways to unpack things that will shave years off how long it'll take you to do it alone. That also said, when you feel good and ready, I think you should come clean to your wife that you only knew she cheated, not to the extremes. Explain, like you have here, that you had no idea and you loved this woman with all of your heart. You're not weak, you're not a fool, you've no control over someone else's actions, only your own, and you conducted yourself incredibly in light of the circumstances. Be kind to yourself. Comment 2. That's harsh, man, I'm sorry. I think you need to share this with your wife. I would anyway. I see your problem though, so maybe do it in counseling. Get some individual counseling, talk it through, then if coming clean to your wife is what you and the counselor decide, ask her to come along. Tell your wife it's about dealing with the cheating by your first wife, and that there are some things you never knew, and you're getting help dealing with it. Most people understand about the pain that cheating causes, and that learning about something makes it real and current again. The counselor will be able to help you both, you to come to terms with your ex-wife's history. And your wife to support you by not taking it personally or as a threat to her position as your one and only. Good luck. Comment 3. I see no reason to keep up the ruse for someone's reputation simply because they died. Too often in our culture, people focus on someone's death. We should focus on how they lived. What type of person were you when you roamed the earth? Infidelity is abuse, and it's one of the most traumatic things you can go through. I'm not even 2 years from D-Day. I'm not even the same person I was before discovering my life was a lie. You don't get over that type of betrayal easily, and I absolutely support discussing it with a partner who honestly needs to understand the mind F that does to someone. Thank you so very much for listening. Please check out my other videos and like and subscribe.